Alright, Dwayne here, PhoenixTypewriter.com. Gonna give a more thorough video about how to take the case off these and how the latches work. So, as we know, there's some case latches in here to remove the upper section. First things we need to do is remove the roller. So let's just start with that. Flip the paper pan back. Push the two levers and pull the platen roller out. Set that aside. Remember, right side is the ratchet. Get the platen roller out, and then we're going to look at this. It's got latches over here. Get my light. There's one right there, and it's got a pretty good detent on it, so you flick it and it opens up. Oh yeah, by the way, go ahead and turn the machine on and center the carrier in the center. Flip your margins back, flip your little indicator up. Get these guys out of the way. And then there's another one, latch over here. Same thing. Flick that. So now the upper case will separate from the lower case. You can just grab it any way you want and separate it. So let's go ahead and take that out, and let's go ahead and put the roller back in. Now, to get the machine out of the bottom section, there's a lever down here, right there. That holds the bottom in place. Flick that forward, and now the front's going to be able to release. When the front releases, you can drag it forward and tilt it on its back. It's got these rails right back here, designed to flip it on its back. So let's grab it and flip it on its back. So we release that lever. There's a couple spots here you can grab it by these little pins. Lift up the front and pull it forward. At the same time, lift it up. It's only going to come forward about 4 inches and hit these stops, and you can flip it on its back. And then you can expose the typewriter. What that does is rides on these rails here. Right here. This little bracket, corner bracket's got these little guides, and it rides right on there. Tilts up. It's got these spots where it stays pretty steady. And then if we want to remove it from the case further, you can definitely do that. You just got to lift it out of here any way you want and set it. We're going to set it behind the case like that. This little vent comes out, and you can take that out of the cord here with this little piece there, like that. Set that aside. So there's your bottom section. Now we're going to look at this case a little further. Set the machine aside over here. When you put that machine back in, it's got these big rubber where those brackets go into right here. Those correspond with these square rubber pieces, and you would just slide it back in there. Then there's also the front shock mounts. These are all called shock mounts, rear shock mounts. And the front shock mounts, and they really are, these guys are feet. They are these guys here. These feet are separate. They're not part of the lifting process are part of these nuts here, so these are shock mounts. So when the upper case goes back on here, it's got to line up with these pins here. There's a couple these little hole cutouts, and I do not advise loosening these. These are kind of factory set usually, and they correspond with the case. There's a couple pins toward the rear here. A couple pins. There's your latches. So let's set this back down on top. And that's right, those pins will line right up. First we've got to get these latches out of the way. See how that latches is catching right there, so you just got to lower that. And you can see how that latch works now. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. So that's how that latch works. When you lock it, it clicks like that. Latches underneath this big old spring piece right there. And to release it, pull it forward and it's released. Of course, same thing on the other side. Now sometimes these don't have a defined click. They're loose. They get bent or something. There's a way to adjust that. And those go right in the pins back here. And then of course we're missing the vent. We put the vent in there before. And then this side also has that same latch assembly. Push it. The latch is in there. So that's the basic principle of those latches. If the machine is not latching tight and it's loose and it wants to go up and down a little bit, like it's not tight, the adjustment for that is to bend this bracket. So you want to flex that bracket with a pair of channel locks like this right here. And you flex it one way or the other way. If you flex it this way, it makes this latch go tighter. You flex it that way, it makes that latch go looser. Also, I want to make sure that latch is pretty straight. It can get bent, like, and miss that tab if it's bent in too far, or if it's bent out too far. Just make sure it's just pretty even. And that's how those latches work on IBM Selectric. Let's put the machine back in here. Be a little tricky. These are pretty heavy, but you want to get this, lift them back up and back onto those rails right there, and we can just do the opposite and slide grab it up here and push it back down. And like I said, you want to make sure these little squares get lined up. That one's crooked, so you can just take your screwdriver and kind of straighten it out. Make sure it goes in there straight like that. Same thing with this side. This side looks good. And then just find the Wiggle it until it gets these little ones line up and it will settle down. Latch that latch back up here, which is this lever right here. It should latch up nice and easy. These pieces here are usually pretty, don't need to be adjusted or bent or anything. They're pretty super strong. Super strong. So that's it. Let's put the lid back on this guy. Top cover back on it. Lower out. We want to put that vent back in before we put the case on, so just take the vent. It fits one way. Like that. It's nice and flush. You know it's right because it fits in there right. Make sure your arms are back out of the way. A little correction. Guide is out of the way, flipped up. And let's put the top back on it. There she goes. If it doesn't sit down all the way, you just gotta manipulate your latch. So there's the latch. Click. Latch. Click. Okay, one more thing. Sometimes these, you know, when you get these machines, sometimes they're locked up. So sometimes they lock up when they're, Rats, this one's. Sometimes they lock up carriers all the way over here. All the way over, wedged against this, and you can't get your finger in here. So what do? Well, one thing you can do is take the roller out. And the next thing you want to do is get in here so you can see in here a little bit. You can see down this edge right here. You can just see that latch. Probably can't see it on camera. It's such a small opening in there. There it is right there. Way in there. So you can take a screwdriver and you can reach right through here and you can get that. You can get that latch with a screwdriver. Just like that right there. So if it gets stuck on that edge, that's how you get that latch open. And I guess if it happened over on this side, you could do the same thing. So once you get that latch open, if the margin is stuck under here like this, you can hit margin release, slide this out of the way, flip it up, flip your thing up, and now the case will come off. Even though this is jammed over on that side, you can get that off like that. Just like that. So that's the trick if the carrier's jammed over against the left margin. Alright, that's our tutorial for the morning. How to remove the case and how the case latches work. Good day.